Alright, so we are here. It's the end of the year, and now it's time to talk about our top collected editions released this year in 2019.
Yep.
So we each picked 10, which was very difficult. I cheated a little bit, but overall, yes, 10.
Yeah. So, stay tuned. Welcome back, Mentees. This is a good Christmas Eve episode, I think. Yeah, 2019 is almost over. We got, tomorrow left when books come out. And tomorrow is known as like the diamond, almost like a blackout. Nothing hardly ships.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 or 5 collected editions shipping out, mainly from DC. So, ladies first, this is not a countdown, it's not in any particular order, and this was really hard for me.
It's really difficult because it's, for one, it's hard to remember for me what's come out in 2019.
That's also
I've read a lot of books, and I am notorious for not keeping track of what books I've read. So it took a lot, and it's really hard to decide, too. So I did my best.
Before, I will say the only rule is it had to have come out in 2019.
Yes.
And it's either our favorite reads, our favorite collected editions, a surprise book that, you ended up enjoying. And you all leave those comments down below what your favorite books, collected editions were this year. So, ladies
all right,
first.
Let's start it off. So I want to start off with Critical Role Vox Machina Origins. So technically this has been released digitally before, and I think there was a short release in trade paperback some time ago, but then they finally did a huge re-release, and I finally got to read it this year. This is gorgeous.
Based on the YouTube channel?
The podcast. So Critical Role is a really popular D&D podcast. They've really kind of been what's, commandeered this whole D&D resurgence. It's a bunch of voice actors together. Laura Bailey, who's Young Trunks in DBZ, and done a lot of other work as well.
I want to watch the Japanese ones.
Matt Mercer, who's in a bunch of different roles. Travis Willingham, who is Roy Mustang in Fullmetal Alchemist. Anyways, I had very low expectations of this book. Usually when a comic adaptation's done of anything that was not a comic before, it's usually not very good.
Right.
And I wasn't expecting it to be very good. I was wrong. I think anyone, even if you haven't listened to the podcast, I haven't listened to this entire season of the podcast yet either. This is a prequel. I think anyone can jump into this. Very well written. The art is beautiful. Very witty. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely recommend.
It's Dark Horse, right?
It is Dark Horse, yeah.
Okay. So, Critical Role Volume 1. I'm going to go with one that really, really surprised me. It's one of the best books I've read in a long time, starring the Green Guy. And
everyone's talking about this. I still haven't read it.
It's written by Al Ewing. It's Marvel's Immortal Hulk. And they're releasing them in these oversized hardcovers, which are as tall as Omnis, but not as thick. This is the first 10 issues, and it also has Avengers 684, which is a big issue where he comes back in. But yeah, it's gorgeous. It's a mix of Peter David and Bruce Jones horror Hulk story. But I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of Easter eggs if you were a fan of actually, it reminds me a lot of the old 70s, I hate saying that, old TV show. So this one is my first pick for this year.
That's great. All right. So my second pick is the Steven Universe All-in-One hardcover. So this collects a lot of different Steven Universe books by Boom. And this is under the Kaboom title, which I didn't know if that was the kids.
That's the kids stuff,
The kids Boom. This is beautiful. This is such a nice, chunky hardcover. And it's all these different Steven Universe stories that have been collected in trades so far. So a lot of different artists and writers are collected within this hardcover. As a Steven Universe fan, I really enjoy it. I think it gives a lot of different fun stories. And it was such a fun read. It's a nice, just fun, quick read. And again, I think part of the reason why I picked this is just because of how beautiful this hardcover is. It's just, I like a nice, chunky hardcover, and I absolutely recommend this.
Okay. Let's see, for my next one, I'm going to pick one of my favorite reads this year that you asked to read with me, and that is The Sava Shores.
Such a beautiful book. I hope they give us a hardcover next year.
I'm hoping. It's got beautiful artwork. If you haven't seen our old reader, new reader, please do so. It's Vault Studios, and this is the first, 5 issues, I think, 5 issues. Oh, it's so gorgeous. The artwork is gorgeous. I would love to have this in oversized format, But this is one of my favorite collected editions this year because it was such a great read.
Beautiful. And honestly, think about how well this would translate to an oversized hardcover.
Oh,
like
his
I
artwork
want,
is phenomenal.
I want a really just dust jacket-less hardcover, like an image almost.
Well, it's vault, right? So
and I want like a nice like gold foil on it. You know?
Are you already designing the book?
I just keep thinking about it.
I know Ram V. He is now writing stuff for DC, so I'm not sure if he's about to blow up. And the artist Kumar, his stuff, I haven't seen anywhere else, but I really enjoy it.
Oh, beautiful.
And I can't wait if there is going to be a hardcover that you design.
I really hope so.
All right, what's next for you?
All right, Annihilation. So this is a new to me release, and new to a lot of people release for 2019. This was so hyped up. Everyone was so excited, especially me, that we got this Annihilation Omnibus reprint. Now, we already did a review and comparison of this Omnibus compared to its original release. Mm-hmm. I've been waiting to have this in my collection for so long, and I've gotten so close many times to spending a lot of money on getting it.
Right.
And this was the best Christmas present I could have ever asked for. It's just so beautiful.
It's a great story, wonderful artwork.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is what got me into Marvel. Honestly, like, this was my first big Marvel book I read, and I read all of the Cosmic Saga together. And I think that's part of what really helped me get into Marvel and comics in general.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that now because the original printing, I think it was like 2014 when it came out.
Yeah,
it
so
sold out
for
quick.
Like $300.
Yeah, so I'm glad they reprinted it. Next up for me is another book that I enjoyed. Have you read this?
No.
Yeah, this is Invisible Kingdom by G. Willow Wilson, who's the lady that did
I love her.
Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm. She's also Wonder Woman, yeah.
Yeah, she did Wonder Woman, and she's published books too.
Yeah.
But the artwork by Christian Ward is absolutely stunning. He is the guy that did Black Bolt. And
okay, I'm in. That's all I needed to know.
It's beautiful sci-fi about two people that are about to, one's like a nun and the other one is like a freight captain of a freight train ship. So it's a really cool like mystery there, what's happening in the church, about the religion. I really enjoyed it, and it was such a good read, and it was such a surprise. It's a beautiful soft cover too, because it's got these French flaps. Nice, right? So it's sturdier than your normal trade paperback. So what is your next one?
Okay, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. So you're only going to pick 10. So
yeah, we're only doing top 10.
One of my lists of favorite books is all of TKO.
Series 2?
Series 2. I cannot express how in love I am with these stories and these beautiful trades. All of these, first of all, the spine matches beautifully.
And they're also big too.
They're all big, oversized trades.
Yeah, compared to the size of a standard trade paperback, they're taller and longer. So
great paper quality. Like when I first opened these, I was like, "This is beautiful." And then I got into the stories. I was like, "Oh man, it gets even better."
Yeah.
Because we've been known to buy some books just because.
Well,
they feel very nice. Look at you, Moonshadow, and.
J.M. DeMatteis' Moonshadow, it's a gorgeous book.
It's gorgeous, but doesn't mean
it's a little dense to read.
Loved all of these stories. I think they're all great. The art's great throughout. I really think these are some very interesting, diverse stories. I'm very, very pleased with this, and I'm a TKO ride or die now forever.
I like the way that they're putting these out. You can get them in digital format. You can get them in 6 single issues, or
in
you can get
in a box too. So it's a nice box set still. So if you prefer to do that with your collections, it still looks really nice on your shelf.
And it'll all come out on the same day, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Next on my list is a Marvel comic that I fell in love with immediately, and that is Spider-Man Life Story. This is done by Chip Zdarsky, who's now currently writing Daredevil. And it's drawn by Mark Bagley, and my wife and I both reviewed it, the Astonishing Melanie and myself. And it's practically what if Spider-Man had aged in real time. So it starts back in 1961 with a teenage Peter Parker. When you get to the 70s, 80s, he's aging. He's in his 20s, he's in his 30s, and then when you get to now, he's an old guy. And it's heartbreaking. It's really beautiful. It was like, it's such a almost just dorky gimmick that they're using, but it works, and it was done so well and classy. I loved it.
Well, honestly, I'd like to see that with more books. Because to me, that's
with the popular, I'm surprised. You know, I'm hoping we get a deluxe hardcover of this because it's just wonderful, and it might win some kind of Eisner Award. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, if with the popularity of this, so y'all go and buy it. I'm sure we'll get more. You know, Wolverine life story, which would be impossible because the dude's been around for over 100 years. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What's your next? Are we in your final 5 yet? No, no, you're not.
No.
You're 6. Never mind. Keep going.
All right. Monstrous Book 1. And also because this is the special variant edition from Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble.
Yeah. Because this came out with 2 different variants. And, oh my god.
DCBS had a variant. That had the Barnes & Noble variant. And then the standard edition, which is kind of crazy for a hardcover.
Oh yeah. Especially like in Image 1 too. Because I don't see a lot of variants for a lot of images. Like Nailbiter had variants, but well, with Nailbiter you can't really tell.
Yeah.
This is a really, I mean, this story's been winning so many awards, especially just because of like the uniqueness of it. This sort of like fantasy that's dealing more with like Eastern lore, you know, and doing it in a very like beautiful way because the art is stunning. It's got that anime style, but it's not directly.
Sanaka, yeah, she did some artwork for Miss Marvel. This almost made it in my top 10, but my issue with it was the binding on this particular release. At least the
So did you get the Barnes & Noble one, or did you get which one?
I got the poor man's version.
Feels bad, man. I mean, this is beautiful. So,
you're making fun of my
sorry you missed out
cover?
on the best one.
What? It's what's on the inside that counts.
Yes, please read Monstrous, everyone. Please.
It is a beautiful book. It's fantasy, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now my next book. This was so hard because I had Bitterroot. I'm like, okay, Bitterroot was so good. Infidel was so good, and
I almost chose Infidel too.
I went with this. It's Ed Brubaker. It's just Sean Phillips, and it's this Kill or Be Killed. It's a freaking awesome crime. It's what they do best. It's crime, mystery, noirish. It tells the story of Dylan, who through a series of events. I'm not gonna spoil it because you guys should read it.
Please don't spoil it for me.
You haven't read it. Becomes a vigilante of justice, if you will. And that's all I will say. It's wonderful. You know what to expect when you have these 2 names on a book.
Oh, yeah.
And this is all 15 of them. It's $49.99. Image Comics. And like I said, it's got all 15 issues in here. All the covers.
And there's nothing like an Image Deluxe.
You don't like dust jackets, but I'm a big fan of dust jackets.
I don't want dust jackets. I love Image Deluxes.
Alright. What do you got?
Ooh, okay. Absolute Swamp Thing. So this is my first Swamp Thing ever. It's also my first Absolute. And the minute I took it out of this beautiful box, I was done for.
You like that feeling on that?
Oh my gosh!
Doesn't have a dust jacket.
It's beautiful. First, the box itself is beautiful, right? And then this. And then you open it up, and the art's so beautiful. And I know not everybody's a fan of the colors, but...
Well, I don't think it's going to affect people like you that have never read it, though.
Yeah, so for me, this is a treat.
So, I know a lot of people have issues with the recoloring. But I think they actually got the one person that could recolor it, and that's Steve Oliff. And those guys, that's the same guy that recolored Akira for Epic Studio, or Epic when it was by Marvel. So this almost made mine list because it is a great Alan Moore story. It is the Swamp Thing story.
Yeah.
So you did a DC book. I will do a DC book. I can't believe. Actually, there is a theme with some of these.
Yeah.
You're about to. He-Man and Masters of the Universe. This freaking omnibus is awesome. It was huge. It's one of those big, huge books. It's not hokey at all like the cartoon was in the 80s. But, I mean, that's the stuff we grew up with. I got this, and I freaking couldn't put it down. It's just all these characters that I grew up with have been reimagined for this, and it felt like reading a Conan comic, honestly.
So, for a complete, newbie to He-Man, what years does this collect? Is this a recent run, or is it
yeah,
what is this?
The last 5 years, I think.
Okay.
The ones that came out in 2000, when DC got the rights back from, what was it, DDP, Dynamite. One of them owned the rights to it, and DC got the rights back and started doing their own thing. Like Dan Abnett wrote it, Keith Giffen wrote some of this stuff. It's awesome. So if you've never read it, just get past the hokiness that it's He-Man, because there's a lot of good stories in here. The only thing that's missing is the He-Man versus the Injustice. So now that I want that, there's a deluxe hardcover of that. Now I gotta get that.
Pretty big. T-Dragon Festival.
I don't know what this is, but I love that cover.
Listen, first of all, Katie O'Neill's stories are wonderful. They're quick.
Omnibus.
They're very, heartwarming.
Okay.
And the art's beautiful, and man, do they know how to put together a beautiful hardcover. So this T-Dragon Festival, I have to rearrange my shelves because of the size of this, because I was not expecting this. It is the same size as its, predecessor, T-Dragon Society, but it is bigger than
This is the second one?
Aquacorn Cove. Yes.
Are these still in print?
Yeah, this is a prequel to T-Dragon Society, which came earlier. But this is beautiful. Like, I appreciate throughout the book there's such an attention to detail. Like, I mean, I love the fact that she makes these like really nice patterns in the front. This is written and drawn and colored all by Katie O'Neill.
It's a beautiful book.
It's beautiful.
It looks like a anime.
Yeah, and I think it
gives
you a Ghibli feel. Yeah, I think that's a good comparison. And I think to me it's all ages. I think this is something that can be shared with anyone. Your daughters would.
I was going to ask you, did you review this on the channel?
No, I'd love to. I can review all.
Well, because I watch your videos. But I was gonna say, if I had known about this, I would have gotten it for them for Christmas, because this looks like something they would both love.
Yeah, maybe I could do a quick Katie O'Neill show, because I think she only has 4 books out right now.
Sure. I'd like to see what else
Princess Ever After, Aquacorn Cove, T-Dragon Society, and the newest T-Dragon Festival. And she has 2 board games out now also.
Wow, she's a busy lady.
Beautiful, beautiful Oni Press book.
Oni Press, got it. My next book, this is my surprise. I can't believe I enjoyed this as much as I did. And I don't know why. Maybe because I was expecting some of these hokey characters like, Dr. Voodoo, or Brother Voodoo, sorry. The zombie golem, I don't know if Marvel can really, I'm a big fan of Tales from the Crypt, Haunt of Fear, and Creepy and Eerie. So when I heard about this, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. So Marvel was kind enough to send it to me, and I started reading it, and it reminded me a lot of that stuff. And I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning. When I did a review, that's what I said. I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning, and my wife woke up, and she's like, "You're still up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing some research for the video that I got to do tomorrow." I just couldn't put it down because this is my kind of stories. It came around October, so right around Halloween time. Don't miss out on this. It's beautifully restored artwork too. And if you're familiar with the way that Marvel has been restoring a lot of their art for these Omnibus releases of these classic Golden Age stories, then yeah, this is no exception. It's a beautiful book, and one that surprised me that I enjoyed so much. I got 3 left. You got 3 left.
Yeah. All right. So this wouldn't be. To me, this is one of my really top picks of 2019. Is this Gail Simone Omnibus release that I wasn't expecting, for one. Now, when the designs first dropped, everyone was really concerned because they felt like it looks more like a detective novel.
Yeah, I remember seeing the comments, and it's a little busy, things like that.
Yeah, and I can understand that, but I think once I got it in hand and I really thumbed through it,
It's a beautiful release.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's oversized.
It's taller than an omnibus.
To me, it's the perfect way for this to be collected. It's a great story. It's got great art, and seeing it this size was wonderful. Because I have all the trades, but man, I'm so happy about this.
The other cool thing is if you were lucky enough to have the Dark Horse releases of Colossal Conan, King Conan, and Conan the Cimmerian. It is as tall as that. So it slides right in there with those books. It's gorgeous. And the price point is $49.99.
Which is insane for this.
It's a huge book.
Yeah. This is... I don't think anyone would regret this purchase. It's my favorite Red Sonja story. It's what got me into Red Sonja.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is what started it. Because I read it on a whim. So I was like, oh, this doesn't look my thing, but I was on Comixology.
Simone.
Yeah, as Gail Simone's like, well, try it. And it changed everything for me, obviously. Because now I have a Red Sonja shelf. I have a very expensive Red Sonja sideshow figure.
Right. It's interesting that Gail Simone's first omnibus with her name, like she's had some things done with like on Deadpool and stuff like that, but with the actual Gail Simone omnibus is something from Dynamite instead of DC, because she has written Birds of Prey, you know, she's written Batgirl, she's written Wonder Woman. We're finally getting a Wonder Woman, but I figured with you know, Omnis being around so long, she would have had something done by now. My next book is one that came out in, I don't know, say in the summertime.
Yeah.
2019.
Which I almost chose too, so.
Oh, you want me to choose
this? Yeah.
I love The Authority. It is, it's so hard to pick the best Warren Ellis story, but it's either this or Next Wave, Global Frequency, whatever. Anyway, it's so hard to pick them, but this is so good. It's espionage. It's a Jenny Sparks and her team of leftover Stormwatch characters, because they all started out in the Wildstorm universe and then they became the Authority. Did we reviewed this, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Old Reader,
New Reader. Yeah, it's hard to keep up. I can't remember some of the things we've done. Done a lot. So, I think 2/3 of this is solid. But then when he leaves and Mark Miller takes over,
right,
at least some of that artwork's still pretty good with Frank Quietly, if you're into his artwork. But yes, The Authority, you can't go wrong with this. This is an amazing omnibus. All right.
We have 2 left. So it wouldn't feel right to talk about my favorite collected editions for 2019 and not talk about a Chile Walden book. So this year, I really got into First Second, the publisher, all of their books. First of all, all of their hardcovers and their trades. This is a nice trade, nice quality. It's a nice chunky trade. Chile Walden has really become, I think, my favorite author that I've read.
Really?
This year. Yeah.
Oh, this year? Or ever?
This year.
This year?
I think it's too hard to choose ever. And she released Are You Listening this year, which I don't think is my favorite of her books, but they're also good. So it's really hard to choose a favorite.
What are some of the things she's written besides Are You Listening?
She's also written On a Sunbeam.
Also released by First...
yeah, so all of her books are released by First Second, yeah.
I'm a big fan of their stuff, too. I like it's almost like they're gearing it towards kids, right?
Well,
so, like a young adult because of the size. And
They are towards young adults. However, I will say, to me, it's definitely young adult and older. Because I've gotten so much out of these books. Some of the most impactful, emotional moments I've had while reading comics have been from reading First Second books this year. And Tilly especially. It's been more often than not that I've like tweeted at Tilly that she's made me cry at like a coffee shop. Because
I'm sure she appreciates that.
Her work is so emotional. Like it's just really, you can tell she's really drawing from her life. And it's really great. And her art's great too, because she's like Katie. So she does the coloring and...
It's very anime-ish.
Yeah.
Which... Nothing wrong with that. And I like the colors.
I really want to urge people, and maybe I'll do a First Second video sometime next year, but don't sleep on First Second as a publisher. Even though it's a lot of like young adult graphic novels.
Something wrong with that. I think there's young adult literature like Harry Potter and things like that is huge.
And people tend to stick to, you know, DC and Marvel and Image, but you're really missing out if you don't look at First Second, because they're not only releasing books like this, they're also releasing things like Andre the Giant, a lot of like non-fiction books.
I needed to read that.
And even like political commentary books that are very, very interesting and well read and well researched. Like,
did you read Andre the Giant?
Yeah, loved it.
Did you? Okay, because that's the one I wanted to read. I
loved it.
Kept forgetting about it. So.
I haven't read a First Second book that I haven't loved.
Wow. Okay.
And that's hard to do.
So there you go for second. Now, mine is very similar to yours. Are you listening? Not really. Never in a million years that I think I was going to be holding a Conan omnibus for Marvel Comics. I really thought, the rights was going to stay with Dark Horse forever. Mm-hmm. I was going to end up having to get the trade paperbacks that some were out of print. And, just that format. But Conan deserves so much more. And I had never read the stories of Conan. So this was my first time. This was one of the first buys this year for me. It was like January. And there were 2 covers, of course. This one and then the John Cassidy cover that I think most people avoided. But, oh my god, I was like, yes! Because I've always liked the movies, I like the cartoon, and I like the video game. I was like, why haven't I read... And I read the novel by Robert E. Howard, or one of the books. But, yeah, when I read this, I was like, oh. And it's Roy Thomas, same guy that did Kree Skrull War and just about every Marvel comic back in the day. But, you know, sword slashing, it's fantasy, it's wonderful, and it's got artwork by Barry Windsor-Smith, John Buscema. So yes, Conan, and I think this one's still in print, the Marvel years, and then there was also the sister comic, the Savage Sword of Conan, which was black and white. So this is the one in color. This is the original Marvel years, and these are all in color. So, one more. What do you got?
Injustice Omnibus Volume 1. I've been waiting forever for this.
It's a good one. I
love Injustice. I've been a fan since the video games because I played Injustice, the first one, which is okay, but in Injustice 2, I don't even like fighting games, but I will play Injustice 2 anytime.
Okay.
And the story's so great. I think, you know, from what DC's putting out, I think Injustice is one that, to me, is consistently really good. You know, I really like getting a chance to see a different side of these characters and really explore something in a way that's done really well. And that's not just like edgy Elseworlds, you know? Like, and the art's beautiful. And you get to see so many characters that you wouldn't always see, right? And so I'm really, really appreciative of this. And this is a beautiful omnibus. And again, I hate dust jackets, but this is a nice dust jacket.
I like the...
This is dust jacket done well.
Okay.
Well, it's just nice matte.
Yeah, it feels different than like a glossy finish to it.
Yeah, and to me that's better, personally.
When I did an overview of this, I said, you know, there were 3 strikes against it, and that's... I wouldn't have gotten this if you hadn't have told me to get it, and then there were like several people on the comments that were like, no, you need to get it. It is a really good story.
Yeah.
And it's Tom Taylor, so I love Tom Taylor, so I'm like, yeah, alright, fine, I'll get it. But, you know, I was like, it's based on a video game, it's an alternate timeline where Superman's bad. I've been there, done that, I don't need to read any more of that stuff. This series, it was so good. It doesn't have any right to be this good. It is so good.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what I've read. I've read the first 2/3, year 2. I haven't read year 3 yet, but I don't know if it stays that way, but apparently it kind of goes downhill a little bit. But yeah, good choice. Good choice. My last pick is something that I have been waiting years for. It is my favorite manga of all time, and this is the definitive edition in the way that you should get it, and that is Berserk, the deluxe edition, volume 1. Oh my god, when Dark Horse, they reached out to me after I had done reviews for them for magazines, and I was so blessed that they were like, hey, do you want to review Berserk volume 1, or do an overview of it? Because we know you have a YouTube channel now. I was like, yes!
Of course.
Please! Oh my god. And if you've never read it, it's brilliant, it's brutal, and like I said, there's a theme. I got Conan, I've got He-Man, and I've got Berserk. So maybe I like dudes with swords and fantasy and demons, and oh my gosh, this is such an awesome story. I always tell people don't judge it too hard on that first volume, which there's 3 in here. But once you get to the second and third one, like the story starts picking up because it becomes a huge, long flashback of his youth with the Band of the Hawk. Oh my god, Berserk. If you've never read it, y'all know by now. But that is my top 10 right there of this year. And this was hard.
Yeah.
This was so hard because there were so many things. I was looking through, you know, my books. I'm like, oh, I enjoyed that. Oh, damn it. I can't choose that. So to break it down, you know, into 10, you know, it was difficult. So we'd like to know what you all would have put in your top 10 of collected editions that came out this year. Whether it was a reprint, something new, something you've never read before, something you really enjoyed, or you just enjoyed the binding of it, or or you know, the way that the covers feel, the dust jacket feels. Anything else, Maddie?
No, that's it. Just, you know, thank you guys so much for, you know, watching and subscribing. This has been a wonderful year, and it's been, you know, not to get too sappy about it, but just spending this time with you all and getting into this geeky stuff has been really nice. And I look forward to talking about our top 10 of 2020 next year.
Yes, because there will be that too. So thank you. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. Happy Christmas Eve. Do you
Happy
say that?
holidays.
Happy
Happy New
holidays.
Year.
Happy holidays.
Bye guys.